What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 7 of the Coffee and Beer General Game. I'm going to fucking do that again. Messed it up already.
It's all right.
My wife's making faces at me. That's why I fucked up. Now she's giggling at me. Thank you. Appreciate that. What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 7 of our Coffee and Beer Fueled General Gaming podcast. I'm your host, Vin Hill, and joining me as always is my co-host from the opposite time zone, Mr. Evan Piotrowski.
Hello. I brought it back. We don't have. we went over last time. We don't have time for my bullshit this week. So just the hello today.
Yeah, it's a shame. Well, we can do. You should just adapt it to like a Matthew McConaughey impression at some point.
I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm psyching myself out with all this. All right.
We'll figure something out. I'm sure it'll come in good time. But yeah, it's October 13th, and today we're going to be talking about some desert island games in some respects. But
yeah. I mean, not games on desert islands, but
right.
Soon
That'll
enough.
Be a really short list. That'll be a really short list.
I can't even think of one. Adventure Island. I think that's a desert island.
Sure.
Yeah.
We could go.
Anyways.
Yeah. But before we go to that, Evan, what have you been playing this week, man?
I've actually finally bought Dragon Quest XI.
Ooh, on the Switch? Because you played the demo this last week, right?
I played the demo. Yeah, my PlayStation 4 is going in for repairs. The disc drive doesn't work. Apparently that's a common enough problem for the Pro, but luckily I have the extended warranty, which costs like $10, so thank God for that. So I'm going to send that in. So I was like, I need a game to play. Might as well dust the Switch off. Technically, I guess I did dust it off going through the Dragon Quest XI demo, but not much more to say on that. So I'm actually going to talk about a game that I haven't mentioned, but I did play for a little while, and it was a nightmare.
Little Nightmares? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
I don't know how to feel about this game. I don't think I like it.
Really?
It like the second I saw this trailer way back when was like, this game is perfect. This is exactly for me. I love these kind of these smaller side-scrolling games. Like Inside is one of my favorite games of like the past decade. I like Limbo, and it's like, oh, there's just kind of this creepy side-scrolling game where you're kind of like controlling this little character, and you basically have to run away from all this nightmarish shit happening in this nightmare world that you're in. And I know you played it. Like, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a while ago when I played it, but I remember thinking back on it. I remember I really liked the mood of it. I liked the way that it looked. But
Definitely.
I think what like sort of pushed me away from diving too deep into it, I guess, was the just the puzzles were kind of dry, kind of boring. You know, like it just felt like you were along for the ride, sort of thing. You know, you didn't have to really think about anything. Really, it was just that's the sort of thing that I got from it. I mean, it wasn't a bad game. It wasn't terrible. It was just, it just did not stand out for me, I guess. But how about you? Like, with it being fresh in your mind, how do you feel about it? Actually, being a bit negative, I guess.
I'm glad I posed the question to you so I didn't color your opinion of it, because I feel the same way about it. Like, so you're kind of in this nightmare world. It almost seems like you're on a ship. Like like it's basically like each room is like a single screen. Sometimes you just pass through a room. Sometimes you're stuck there to figure out some sort of puzzle. But you kind of go in and out of like it looks like you're in a ship, like in a submarine, or like some sort of cold basement of a facility. Sometimes the rooms look more like a cluttered kind of house from like a dream or something, with lots of like file cabinets and bookshelves and books kind of haphazardly kind of pushed to the side and stacked up like a hoarder's house or something. I'm sure that's supposed to make it a bit unsettling. And then you're just like this little kind of creature in a raincoat. At first I thought you were a human, but no, you're just this little creature. And you kind of go in and out of these rooms, and every now and then there's like these kind of nightmarishly kind of creepy seemingly human characters, but like there's always something like very strange about them. Like there's like a butcher and his face is all contorted and gross, or like there's this one guy, his arms are like really really long. So definitely like these. It's got the nightmares part of Little Nightmares, definitely down pat, and the whole thing is like you got to find a way to run away from them because there's nothing you can really do. And most of the game is more atmospheric. Like it's not so much stealth. You kind of walk into these rooms, you got to figure out how to get out of the room or progress. There's a locked door, or you have to climb a bookshelf, and it's like, okay, I have to go up, and how do I get up? And uh the issue I have with the game is, yeah, like a lot of the puzzles. So basically the game is like you walk, you have a lighter that acts as kind of like a lamp, because a lot of the game is very dark and very moody in that way. So you can like light your lighter. It's basically like your lamp so you can see what's around you. And then there's an interact button, which is basically like a jump in and interact button. So you can like pull on things when you hold the interact button, similar to inside. And
Right.
the interact button is either so basically the interact button is picking things up or pulling on things or holding it down to climb. And one of my issues with the game is you can pretty much because it's of how like the physics work. Anything that you think that you would be able to pull on, you can. So whether that be like a file cabinet drawer or like a bookshelf. And the problem is because you can pull on anything, like you don't necessarily know like how to get out of a puzzle. And it's not like a game where only the things you can interact with will allow you to get out of this room. So there's a lot of times where like there's a bookshelf and you climb it and it's like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. Oh, I'm not supposed to climb this bookshelf. Or like you get a file cabinet and you like pull the file cabinet out. It's like, oh, I can just interact with this, but this has nothing to do with the puzzle. And so it just I get into these problems where like and it's like rather simple stuff. All you're doing is trying to get out of the room, and all you have to do is like climb vertically out of the from the bookshelves and jump, and then there's like a chain and you climb up the chain. But because you can interact with everything, it's like I don't know like what I'm supposed to be doing. And a lot of times like you have to take literal leaps of faith, but because of the depth perception problem, it's a side-scrolling game, but it's 3D, so there's a lot of depth in like foreground and background. I've constantly missed jumps and you fall and die, and then like the checkpointing is a bit rough in some places where it sets you back like 4 rooms, but those first 3 rooms have nothing in them. You're just walking all the way to the 4th room, and then you have to do the climbing puzzle again. And after the 3rd time you die because you missed a jump, maybe that's just me. And it's just like, I don't really want to do, like, is this what this game's about? I love the atmosphere. And
I know exactly what you mean. It kind of, I kind of came away from it with like style without substance sort of thing. You know, like I could tell like these guys had clearly played a game like Limbo, because I think it came out before Inside came out. Or it was around the same time at least, so they might have even seen it. It might have influenced them in some way, but they definitely probably would have played something like Limbo, because it's got very much a similar sort of vibe to it. And then it's just a combination of like all the levels are really really similar.
Yeah, I got to the part where there's basically a boss battle with the creepy guy with the really long arms, where you go into an elevator and there's a small hole where he can only fit his arms, and he's kind of moving his arms around the room trying to check where you are. And so you basically have to like run away from his hands. So if you get anywhere near his hands, he'll grab you and it's over. I died like 8 times. I have no idea what to do. I have no idea how to beat it. There's nothing, and that's another issue. There's, as simple as some of the puzzles are, the tells are very poorly laid out. Like
right, I think that was the problem with it a lot of the time. Like it's just a lot of trial and error in the game, and I think that's what I find more frustrating in games more than anything else, is the whole, like, you're not really clearly teaching me how to like get past this bit. I don't mind like puzzles being challenging, but if you're not presenting the way how to do it like in a sort of nice artistic sense, which is strange coming from a game like that, considering, you know, because it's such a beautiful game. Like you would think that they would have had a bit more directionality with the lighting or something like that, you know. Like I always take the piss out of games like Uncharted, where like all the ledges are painted yellow or whatever.
Give me some painted ledges in this game, please. Give me some yellow books on like stacked on the bookcase. I'm supposed to I need something, because after like,
and I mean that's general games design as well. Like that's just common knowledge within building games, and if you take that out, like it really, like your game suffers for it because you're not giving the player any sense of achievement anymore because they're not figuring something out. They're just trying shit until it works, and that's like, oh, okay, I guess I got it right, and that's like there's no achievement in that. Like there's no, you don't get a dopamine hit from that, so it's fucking pointless sort of thing. It's
Yeah,
very strange.
there has to be a middle point in between nothing and enslaved Odyssey to the West's climbing sections where it's actually impossible to die, and every ledge that you
Right.
need to climb on is actually like glowing, like it's like flashing. Yeah, there's got to be a midpoint. But yeah, like I'll keep playing it, but I'm actually kind of annoyed. I think I actually might have to look up how I beat this guy or stumble through it. But yeah, I kind of lost my attention because of those little things, which is a shame because it looks great. I love what they were trying to do. I just think the puzzle part of it, which is like kind of the main part of how you interact with the game, is just lacking. But yeah,
I think it was one of them games that they pitched it to someone like, all right, here's some awesome concept art. Here's how the game's going to look. It's going to do this and we're going to do that. And it would have been like, yes, funded, like straight away. And then the second that they got to like design and levels, and it was just like the whole thing sort of starts to fall apart, which is a shame. But, who knows, like their next game. I think there's a second Little Nightmares, maybe?
Yeah, it's coming out. I know they released a trailer, so hopefully they've taken some of those. It can't just be us that have given these criticisms.
Oh, yeah.
So.
No, I mean, the fact that I just said the exact same thing, and we didn't discuss this before we started
No,
the podcast,
we did not.
like that. And if I'm saying the exact same thing of how you're feeling, like it's interesting that that's come about. But yeah, it must be a thing.
Well, hopefully they can fix that. So I'll give it a second shot. I just had to put it down for a while because I was getting frustrated. But anyways, what have you been playing, Vin?
This couple of weeks, I've played a lot of things, man. I've been playing Persona 3 Fez on the PlayStation 2. I've been playing that.
Wow, what's going on? I think these mini consoles have you've taken a step back from
something's there's like a switch is triggered in my head. I'm just like, play all the retro games. Like, who cares about the PS4?
It's like what's going to happen is I'm going to be playing Death Stranding, and you're going to be playing that Prince of Persia game that came out after the Jake Gyllenhaal movie came out. We're going to be switching roles here. You'll be playing like the weird PlayStation 3 downloadable only shit, and I'll be on like God of War 2.
I'd probably play the original Prince of Persia because I was actually not the original, but the PS2 Ubisoft one, which won Game of the Year. Like I'd play that one again because that's a fucking great game.
Can they just come out with a new Prince of Persia game, please?
Can't they? I know, please. Fucking, I work there, and I need to go and poke some dudes. But yeah, I was playing a bit of Persona 3. I've only just started that, so I'm not going to talk about that. I also started playing Link's Awakening on the original Game Boy Color because I was like, yeah, fuck buying that game for $60 again.
Yeah.
So
no way.
I've just been playing the original again, and it's the exact same. Like I've been looking at guides and stuff, like whenever I got stuck or whatever, like because I haven't played it in like 15 years or whatever. Whenever I need a guide, like all the guides for like the new version of the game, like it's 1-to-1. Like the trees are all the same, like all the enemies are the same, all the puzzles are the exact, like there's no difference. So it's the exact same game. I saved $60 and life's good.
Yeah, I have both of the Capcom made Oracle games as well. I might as well just bust out my Game Boy Advance and play those if I want to get my kind of top-down Zelda.
They really hold up. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've actually been having a blast. I'm halfway through Link's Awakening. I'm having a great time. But I'm not going to talk about that either. I'm gonna talk about a new game because people don't want to hear about this retro shit. I finished Control. So Remedy's Control. I got around to finishing this thing.
All right, this is one of those games that I didn't know I wanted because I didn't follow it all, and then I saw gameplay, and I was like, "Wow, this is something that is like right up my alley."
I think you would love this game. Okay. If I'm honest, I feel like everything, like all the conversations that we've had over the last few years, I think this is sort of right up your alley. It's not 100% for me, like personally, but I think you would love it specifically. It's a solid 8 out of 10 game. Okay. I would say. It's a really, really good game. I think people are going to love it, but I think the main issue which it has really is the fact that it's a next gen game for the current gen systems. And I don't necessarily mean that in a good way either. Like it
It's like
comes
frame rate issues or something.
yes, it comes with its baggage. The game looks absolutely stunning, but it's got like real time lighting in it. It's got real time ray tracing, and if people don't know what that means, it's just like crazy awesome reflections. So like you're walking by metal, and it looks real. Like it's crazy, like how much of a step up it is. But with that, the game takes serious frame rate hits, so it can drop down into like 15 FPS, which I'm not a frame rate snob really when it comes to games. Like as long as it's like 30, like I'm good with that. Like I'm not like 120 or nothing, bro. Like I'm not one of them dicks. But I will call out a game if it drops to like 15 FPS. When the game first came out, it was unplayable on the PS4, like hands down. I'm not just saying that as like frame rate snob. It would literally drop down to 8 to 10 frames per second in pretty much every firefight. The particle effects look absolutely stunning. All of the ray tracing, all of that stuff looks great, but it's just not built for the current gen systems.
That's a shame.
The PS4, yeah, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X apparently have better times with it, but basically the most popular platform right now is the PlayStation 4. So that's sort of what I'm going to base this on because that's what most people are going to be playing it on. And it just was not up to scratch. They did patch it after a few weeks, and that's when I started playing it because I did start playing, and I stopped playing it because I was like, yeah, I can't play this. Like it's just it's an absolute mess. It's car crash of a game because it just wouldn't really run that well. And I tried to get a refund from PlayStation and everything.
Oh wow.
I was like, yeah, this game's broke, man. Like I can't play this. Like give me a refund. They're like, well, you've already opened it, so we can't. And it's like, oh shit, okay, fine. And then so I waited a couple of weeks and then I got around to it, and it's actually a really, really good game. So the game itself, like outside of all that bullshit, like of the like development stuff, the game itself is like a third-person Metroidvania game, which I wasn't really expecting. It's sort of semi-open world. You gain your abilities like in sections, like going through the world. The combat's really fun. It doesn't do anything amazing. It's nothing really that special, but it's serviceable and it's actually a decent time. The story is super like wild, and if you're into that sort of like creepy pasta and all that sort of like Men in Black conspiracy theory shit, like you'll love the hell out of this game. Like it's got a ton of lore to it, so that is probably the part where you would probably like it a lot, I guess, because I think you're into that sort of like not necessarily that you believe in any of that shit, but I think you'd like it as like a backdrop to us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually read stuff in menus in games. I have an issue with that type of stuff. I didn't even know what the creepy pasta was until people brought it up when talking about this game. But yeah, like I love like this. I love the idea of like we're going to show you a game that like takes place in like a 1960s government, like US governmental building, which is not actually all that like compelling, but atmospherically like it looks like they nailed down like what that would look like with sci-fi elements and those types of things. But
I like for sure. I mean, it's very like I said, original 1960s Men in Black sort of thing. You play as a girl called Jessie, and you go into this place called the Oldest House, which is like this. It's like you were saying, it's a federal building. It's called the Federal Bureau of Control. So
some good names. Some good names. The Oldest House, the Federal Bureau of Control.
Yeah, they nail all that sort of stuff. But like within 5 minutes, you walking into this building, like you become the FBC's director, which is sort of nuts. So it's just like a lot of these people like, oh, it's the new director, and they're like, okay. So you're just sort of along for the ride at some points. The only main problem which I have with the actual game itself is that it's a bit too heavy for me on lore. So I know that sounds weird, but like whenever you walk into an area, like an open area, there's like 20 files just like scattered around on desks and stuff. And if you go up to them, you can read them, and each one of them's like 1 or 2 pages long.
No,
and it's just like, oh fuck. And like after a while, like every time you get into an area, you get really sick of fucking reading. To be blunt, like they
you can't just like play it in a cassette and just have it like.
No, I mean they have different types of sort of pickups, I guess, for the lore or whatever. I mean, a lot of that is in the main story, and you do get enough out of it. But if you don't read everything, like you won't get like quarter of this game. That's the only problem.
Shit.
So
Burkoff would love this game.
Yeah, there's a lot of reading in it, and that was the main thing which sort of probably pushed it down from being a 9 for me, like down to an 8. because I'm not going to spoil the ending or anything like that, obviously, but it's pretty wild. Like it's just like the places that it goes in the story, just like you couldn't even make this shit up. Like how they
Oh,
did
that's
is beyond
cool.
me. Like them,
I like the sound of
yeah,
that. All right, yeah, I definitely want to play it for sure at some point.
yeah. You should check it out. I mean, the gameplay is serviceable. It's a third-person shooter, like I said. It's a Metroidvania if you like exploring. The only tip I will give people, like if they are going to go and play this, make sure you go and get all the fucking abilities, like in all the side quests, because stupid guy over here like decided to it's like screw it, like I didn't need all the abilities sort of thing. Oh, I didn't want to do all the side quests, so I'll finish the game and I'll go and wrap up all the side quests afterwards sort of thing.
Oops.
I ended up missing one of the main abilities that you get because I just didn't do a side quest, and it would have been an ability which would have helped me like tenfold, like playing the game, and it would have heightened my sort of
Oh man.
enjoyment for it. But yeah, that would be my only tip. Like,
That
don't
would
do the
suck
side
if
quests.
like you get to the end of like a Castlevania game and like you just didn't do the side quest to get the double jump. You're like, oh man, this would make the
Right, you
game
didn't.
so much better.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll sort of like ruin like the one that I missed. I missed the block or the shield, and I just didn't. I couldn't block anything. So like I would just constantly get hit by shit, and I'm like I can't dodge fast enough, and I was just getting pissed off and angry at it. And then like I went like the first side quest I went and did after like I finished the last boss was, oh, here's the shield. I was like, you motherfucker. Like I was just like I was just seething. Like you fucking do it. So like if you are gonna go and play the game, make sure you go and do all the side quests and get all the abilities. But other than that, man, it's a great game. Like, it's really good.
My credit card cannot wait till the holiday sales on the PlayStation Network. I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, I think that's saying that. I think a lot of people slept on Control, so I think it's probably going to get a sale like pretty
Yep.
quickly. So that's, and it's a shame because it is a really really good game, and they probably do deserve a bit more success than it got. But I understand why people didn't buy it because of the frame rate issues and stuff, which the
Yeah,
game
that
did have.
sucks.
It's just, yeah, I think I probably would have preferred it if they just took all that like as good as it looks, like just take that like ray tracing shit out and just speed the game up a
Mm.
little bit more. Like I think it would have really helped. It would have been 10 times better. But yeah, it's just one of them things. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you should go and play that. I think you would enjoy it. If you're not into reading, then
Well,
you're gonna have to watch.
I do like reading. I just don't like being stuck in essentially pausing a game to read something in a menu. That's kind of gets old quickly for me. But we'll see. I'll definitely pick it up.
Yeah,
it'll be on sale for sure.
For sure. All right. Cool. So we should move on into our main topic. So what are we going to be talking about this week?
All right. So we are going to talk about the best game, singular noun, of the console or of consoles. We're going to go through the main consoles from the history of video games, and you have to pick one single game to save from that specific console. Everything else, the entire rest of the library, gets completely erased from history. So, oh no. So we're basically going to be left with 8 games a piece at the end of this conversation. So basically choose wisely. And what is the one game from a specific system that you would choose over every other game?
Yeah.
And why?
I think first I'm going to announce like which consoles I'm going to pick, and then we can go back and forth like between like what we're actually going to choose for each one of them. That's cool.
Fair enough. Yep.
All right, cool. So I'm going to choose the SNES, the N64, and then I'm going to do the PS1, the PS2. Then I'm going to do Sega Saturn, Xbox 360, and then PC and Sega Mega Drive. So I've got a good mix in there between Nintendo, the other guys, I guess, and PlayStation. So how about you, man? Like which platforms are you going to be covering?
Okay, I'll be doing the NES, the Super NES, the TurboGrafx 16, of course. N64, GameCube, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 1. I don't know why I said that last, but I think that's 8.
Cool. So do you want to kick this off? Like, do you want to go with your first one?
Okay, sure. So I'll start in chronological order with the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the Family Computer, as it's called in Japan.
Oh, yeah, that's the
Um,
Famicom.
so basically, most people are going to say, well, you got to pick Super Mario Brothers 3 or Zelda, right?
Right.
The Legend of Zelda. I'm actually going to pick Metroid.
Nice. Okay.
And the runner-up is Castlevania, the first Castlevania game. But didn't make the cut, so I don't even know what that game is. It doesn't exist. The reason I pick Metroid is I'm not going to choose Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo,
Mm,
so I have to give it its due here. I want that game to exist.
right.
And I just think it's like one of the first games where it's like, well, how about instead of going right, you can go left and right, and it's this game about exploration before people really had a grasp on the possibility of doing that, even on an 8-bit system like the NES, and I think it's just like one of the most important. I'm not really going to go into like we need to put this in the video game history museum because of what it did type of thing. I'm just picking games that I like, right?
Right.
This is
That you would
completely
play.
yeah, it's completely subjective. It's not Indiana Jones or it belongs in a museum. That was my Harrison Ford
That was
impression.
awful. It was so bad. That was so bad. It was good.
Uh,
Actually.
Yeah, so I mean those are some reasons in there, but it's just a game like I want this to exist, and it's like it's a game. It's like, hey, go left, go right, go wherever you want. Draw on a map. Oh, you got a power up. What does that do? Oh, that can open this door. Well, experiment, explore, and atmosphere. It's an amazing game. The music and yeah, it's just I the last time I beat it was probably like 2009, maybe. So not too long. Well, 10 years ago. Jesus Christ.
Right. Yeah. That's a
But
long time ago still.
yeah, but it's just like this kind of Metroidvania. It's a Metroid game. It you have power. Like we just talked about, games still do that now. Like game
Yeah.
like
People are still
Control.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just one of those games that you can give it that, like, it brought something to the table that video games like how a game is put together.
Yeah.
There's that, but there's also, I think it's just an awesome game. So that is definitely my pick for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and you can still play that on the NES Mini. I guess I think it's on there. So.
Oh, if it's on there, you'd know it.
Yeah, I would. I've been playing the shit out of that things, man. Yeah. I
How
mean,
about you?
I haven't got NES on mine, but if I did pick it, then it would have been Final Fantasy 1. I would have put that in there, but it's not there.
Mm.
I don't have that one, so it's all good. So for my first pick, I'm going to go with the SNES, and on the SNES, I'm going to go with Chrono Trigger. I've got to put it in, though.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it was either Chrono Trigger or it was going to be Link to the Past, which was the runner-up, but that's now gone. So I don't know what that game is anymore, which is a shame. But it's I'm sure it would have been good. It sounded like it was a good game. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's a shame it's gone. But yeah, man, Chrono Trigger is it's one of the sort of best games on the SNES by far. I think just like in terms of like the way it looks, the way it plays, the fact that more games didn't steal its battle system is sort of insane to me. Yeah, I think it was just like a great sort of merging of what Squaresoft were doing at the time, who are now Square Enix, and how they were like mixing art, how they were banging out games like really, really quickly back then, and just the quality of like the stories and just everything about that game is just awesome. And just I think it's got multiple endings in it as well. The fact that
It's got like 11, maybe even more. That blew my mind when I was a kid. New Game Plus,
right?
That was the first game I ever heard of that.
Yeah, it's probably one of the first as well. So like that, it sort of pushed the ship forward for that. Just an amazing game. Like I think the best thing about it is you can still play it today and enjoy it just as much as you would back then. Like there's nothing stopping you. Like you don't need any graphical upgrades for that thing. It's awesome. Like I've been contemplating playing it again on the Nintendo DS because there's a really good port on there. So yeah, I mean it's just a fantastic game. Everyone should come check out Chrono Trigger, and if you haven't already, then you're insane and you're not a gamer. You are really, but that's a different debate. But yeah, you should play it. It's awesome.
It's a great one. Yeah, that is definitely a game that I would rather see remade than like Final Fantasy VII. To be honest with you, I mean, I like Final Fantasy. If you're specifically talking about JRPGs that need to be remade in 3D, not need to, but I would might choose Chrono Trigger over that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, my next system is the Super NES, as we call
Okay.
it in the States. None of this SNES bullshit.
SNES, yo.
It just sounds like sneeze. It just sounds like a like onomatopoeia for something.
Yeah, I'm
Like
sure.
in
I'm
a
sure we're going to
comic book.
argue about the Genesis and Mega Drive later, anyway. So it's all good.
Yeah. I'm fine with calling it the Mega Drive. It's a better name than the Genesis. But SNES just sounds like a I don't know, like I open a comic book and like Spider-Man just like is kicking someone. It says like SNES atop of. It's like the sound it makes when he kicks him. But anyways, I chose A Link to the Past. It's my favorite Zelda game. It's A Link to the Past. Like I don't really need to get into this. I mean, they basically have using the same system of how the world works, and they use that for so many Zelda games. I guess you could say that the first game did that as well, but I think A Link to the Past does everything better.
Yeah, for sure. I would totally agree with that.
Yeah, and they use it in Link's Awakening. Like they released a game in 2019 that is essentially the same style of gameplay and kind of exploratory top-down game with like dungeons and upgrades and all that
still
type of stuff.
Completely holds up. I think like every single list that you look online, it's like the best 3DS games ever made, sort of thing. Like top 3DS games, like Link Between Worlds is normally within the top 3 always. Like it's an amazing game still.
Yeah, and it kind of uses the same style.
Mechanics.
Why is Link's hair pink in this game? I've always
I think they were just trying to make colors pop. Like, because
Okay.
there's a load of greens and yellows and stuff. They probably didn't want to make him too earthy, so they were trying to make him stand out a little bit, like in
Fair
terms
enough.
of just like color palette. But yeah, I won't go into that.
on a in a CRT TV, like I don't remember it looking pink. Like
Yeah, it wouldn't have
it
been.
wasn't until later I was like,
Yeah.
his hair's pink. I thought it was brown, but my runner up was Super Mario World, just because I think it's one of the best side scrolling platformers
Super Mario
ever.
what?
But
Yeah, that's gone.
oh yeah, Super Mario what? should make that game. Like I mean, they went from World to Galaxy to Odyssey. It's got to be what? Super Mario what? What's going on? Yeah, A Link to the Past.
Yeah, an amazing game, man. Good pick.
Yep. All right, what's your next system?
My next system is the Sega Mega Drive, and it is Mega Drive, not Genesis.
It's this is one of the names where I don't understand. Like it's like Japan's like, yep, Mega Drive. Europe's like, yep, Mega Drive, and the States is like, we can't use that name. It's like, well, why? It sounds fine.
That's a meeting in a boardroom, you know. And they're like, oh, you know, it isn't snappy enough, man. You know, like they're all fucking from California or something, right? Sat around a table in flip flops or some shit. Like that was a thing.
No, see, I see a guy in a suit, and he's proposing. He's like, the Sega, and he holds his hand up to the left, and as he says the word, he slowly moves it to the right, like you see it in the sky. The Sega Genesis, and everyone's like, yes, like kind of like the grumpy looking guy at the end of the table who's like in his mid-50s is just kind of like sternly looking at him. He's like, yeah, that's a good one. Let's change the name. Like, what's wrong with Mega Drive? That sounds 90s enough to me. But anyways, what's your...
Yeah, it sounds way more 90s. But yeah, my pick for it is pretty uneventful. I went for Sonic 2 because I just think it's a classic, and it's still completely playable today, and it's an amazing game. Still great, still completely playable. My runner-up is Golden Axe, but Golden what? Like, that's gone.
Vin.
I know.
Vin. I cut this from my list, but for the Sega Genesis, I was going to choose Golden Axe 2. I love that game. So good.
It's too bad I've never played it, right? It's just it's disappeared.
The name of the final boss is Death Adder. It's like one of the best video game villain names ever. He's wearing pink.
I miss the 90s just purely for that shit. You know, like 90s video games where they just sat around. Like, can you imagine that meeting with like, I've got an idea for a game. You play as a blue hedgehog that can run really fast, but he's got no clothes. Oh, he does have red shoes though. And the enemy is an evil scientist villain called Dr. Robotnik or Eggman, depending if you're fuck that. Who came up with that? And they're just like to come out with this shit, and it's like, but this is wild. Like how the hell did Dream come up with this shit? But yeah, Sonic 2, it's awesome. I think I remember playing the shit out of this game with my cousin when I was a kid, just purely because like he would play as Sonic, and I would just be like constantly like scrolling behind him as Tails, like using the second player because there was no.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, you could play in split screen, but if you played single player and just plugged in a second controller, then you could play as the second character that was like following Sonic around, and like I was just constantly like trying to help him, sort of thing, trying to stay in screen.
Yeah.
And then if he ran out of screen, then Tails would like hover in, like, oh,
Actually, that's the best way to put it, Vin. Like, you actually, as Tails, you never actually played the game. Your goal was to just try to stay on the screen, and you failed constantly.
Yeah,
and you just like kind of hover, like, oh, he's back. You just hover back, and then you die, and then Sonic would just move forward, and then you'd hover back on screen.
Yeah. I mean, an amazing game, still fantastic. Yeah, it holds up to this day, but it's awesome.
Okay, just one quick thing. Whoever's listening, if you please type in like I don't know what you want to type in, the sound, the death throw of the enemies in the Golden Axe series. It is one of the most like gruesome like screams like after when you kill an enemy. It's so hard to do too. It's like the Wilhelm scream is the most famous scream in the history of like cinema, entertainment, like and cinema. This scream is my favorite video game like scream that I've ever heard. It is so brutal and what
it does have some teeth to it.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good pick. I mean, Sonic got to get in there. It's like Link to the Past, sure. Sonic, sure. Like it's those games are there for a reason.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to discount them in any way. I guess that's probably what I'm trying to get to. But yeah, how about you, man? What's your next one?
Next system is the TurboGrafx 16.
Oh, of course.
The runner-up, and this is not on the TurboGrafx 16 Mini. It's like one of the biggest issues I have with it. A game called Bloody Wolf, which I think was called like fucking Blue Rangers or something in Europe. That's as bad as Contra 3 being called Probotector. I don't know what's wrong with you guys over there.
Bloody Wolf? Like, did it ever get ported to something else?
Oh, it's called, in Europe, it was called Battle Rangers. No, I think it was originally an arcade, and then it came out on the PC Engine and the TurboGrafx in 89 and 90. Basically, if you type it in, you look like fucking John Matrix.
Oh, Jesus Christ, you do, don't you? Like, I've just looked at it.
From Commando, yeah. It's like, they took like, hey, you know that game Contra? Like, let's try to make this game. The president is kidnapped, and it's actually made by Data East as well, the same people that made the game with the president is kidnapped by ninjas. Bad Dudes.
Right. I don't even
yeah. You play as either Snake or Eagle. Take your pick.
Dude, I was going to say, this looks like Contra meets Metal Gear Solid. Like the original Metal Gear Solid that was on the NES and what other console was it on?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. But it looks like that, though.
It's an awesome game. It's like grounded in reality. There's no like alien aspect to the game, but yeah, it's like it's kind of like Ikari Warriors a bit, but it's like a side-scrolling run and gun game. Awesome music. Yeah, you either play like this super like commando soldier with like a shaved head, or Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando, and you got to save the president. And halfway through the game, after you save the president, twist, you get kidnapped, and then you have to play as the guy that you didn't pick to save your friend, which becomes the other half of the game.
That's genius. That's actually a really cool idea.
Yeah, because you save the president halfway through the game. The game's awesome, but I had to make the cut for a game that you will be playing very soon, Vin. Bonk's Revenge.
Of course. Like, I knew this was coming. Like, as soon as you're like, yeah, I've got the TurboGrafx set, I'm like, Bonk's coming. Bonk's on the way.
Bonk is always on the way. Bonk's Revenge. That sounds like something you should type into a
dude. In Europe, like, and if you say that to any like British person, they're just going to be cracking up at this. Like, Bonk's Revenge, Bonk's Adventure. Like, this is ridiculous.
I think I saw that movie when I was 12 years old at my friend's house during a sleepover. So we'll probably talk about this game soon enough. We'll dedicate a episode or 2 or 3 or 4. We could do a year of it. I don't care. I'm just never going
to buy the TurboGrafx Mini anymore. I'm just not going to do
it. Same reason why you picked Sonic 2. Bonk's Revenge is the second game in the Bonk series. You're Bonk, and you got to King Drool III, grandson of King Drool from Bonk's Adventure. He steals the top half of the moon. You got to get it back. Come on, like, oh, he also kidnaps the princess as well, but not to be outdone by just kidnapping a princess. He steals the top half of the moon. You got to get it
Of
back.
course. Well, you know.
No, it's great. It's one of those platformers like Sonic, Mario, bonk, and he got fucking stiffed hard, and soon enough. You want to be meta with this? Soon enough, it will be Bonk's Revenge because everyone will know that name come March 3rd. The cops, they're fucking, they know what's going on. Sounding the alarm.
Right. Yeah, even
here.
the Japanese police are after Bonk. Like, they know what's up. They're excited.
Yeah. So Bonk's Revenge is probably, it's the best game in TurboGrafx 16. It's classic.
I'm genuinely excited for this. Like, I don't even know. Like, I've never played a single TurboGrafx like game, like a PC Engine game. Never even like whenever you list these games off, like I have to go and Google them, and I just look at the images. I'm like, he's making this shit up. He's just got to be. But it's I am actually genuinely looking forward to this thing. It should be interesting.
Yeah, it's like the usual suspects. I'm reading shit off a cork board behind a police officer. Like, oh, Bonk's Revenge met in with his friend Bloody Wolf.
Right. It's kind of like it's like if two kids got caught like playing Grand Theft Auto or something, and their parents are like, "What game have you been playing?" No, like, we've been playing Bonk's Revenge, and they're just making shit up. That's how it comes across.
It's the fake video game that's like in a movie, like two kids are playing this game. You know, they're moving the controller more than they're pressing the buttons. It just says like Bonk's Revenge on the screen. Yep. Bonk's Revenge for the TurboGrafx. What's your next system?
Good times. Okay, my next system is going to be the following on from Sega. It's going to be the Sega Saturn. The console which no one else owned as well. So, like the TurboGrafx 16, I got landed with the Sega Saturn when I was a kid. My runner-up was Sonic Racer, which is probably like the worst game in human history, but I absolutely loved it, and I could play that game over and over again.
Are they actually running in this game, or does it not make sense where Sonic's in a car for some reason?
Nope, Sonic's running. Knuckles is running, and Knuckles can glide like while you're racing around the tracks. The music's absolutely terrible but amazing at the same time. Like, it's fully voiced, and they made like a whole album on it. And when I was a kid, I remember like me and my sister figured out you could put it into a CD player and it would just play the tracks as if it was just a CD. Game changer. Anyway, but I never played that game because it doesn't exist. The game which I am picking though is going to be Shining Force 3, which is a really unfortunate circumstance that no one ever got to play this thing because it was only on the Sega Saturn. But it's sort of like a tactical RPG. It's like the other Shining Force games. Great story. It was split up into 3 scenarios, but only one of them came out in the West, and that was the one that I played, which was Shining Forces 3. But it also had a Part 2 and a Part 3, which came out in Japan only. But an amazing game. Like, I had so much fun playing. I used to play this game with my best friend when I was a kid, and we played this for like hundreds of hours. Like, it's a ridiculous amount of time put into this really, really bad old RPG. But it was one of the first games, like I think it was like one of the first 3D games where you had control of the camera and you could just spin the camera around. Like, and that was the first console which I had with like 3D graphics on. So that blew my fucking mind when I was a kid.
Oh, that's cool.
I played it like a little bit recently, and I'm gonna play it a bit more as soon as I get a chance because I'm into my sort of retro phase at the moment. But it's awesome game. That's my pick for the Sega Saturn. It's great game.
Yeah, retro phase. That's is that code for midlife crisis? I'm not
right. Kind of feels like it, doesn't it?
I'm going through my retro phase.
Yeah. Is that 32 mark, right?
Yeah, there you go. All right. I never had a Sega Saturn. I did remember watching my friend play Shining Force 2 on the Genesis / Mega Drive. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Is it the same people that made Phantasy Star? It looks similar.
It's made by the same people that made Golden Sun. So it's Camelot.
Oh, okay.
So it's them group of guys. And then after Golden Sun, it's the saddest fucking thing in the world. They went from Shining Force 3 to Golden Sun on the Game Boy Advance, which did really, really well. They did one more Golden Sun game on the Nintendo DS, and then they got hired to start making all of the Mario Tennis games.
Oh, no.
And that's what they do now. They just make Mario Tennis games. It's the
Wow.
saddest thing in human history. I mean, they're good games, I'm sure, but like they could be doing so much more. They could be making another Shining Force game, but they're not, and life is bad.
Okay. Next system for me, it will be the Nintendo 64. And the game I'm going to pick is WCW versus NWO Revenge.
Look, we need to take this seriously. Like, people aren't going to listen to this unless you take it seriously. What's your runner-up, at least? Christ.
Super Mario 64? Does that help?
This guy. No, to be fair, like, I didn't pick... Oh, wait, yeah. I have got an N64 game. Never mind. I'll go into mine in a bit.
Okay. Basically, the game that came out before this, WCW World Tour, maybe, it was like the first THQ wrestling game. I played it at a sleepover at my friend's house. That game actually got me into wrestling when I was like 10 years old. Weirdly enough,
I think the same can be said for a lot of games like that. Like, I remember like Tony Hawk's, like the year that Tony Hawk's came out, everyone had a skateboard for Christmas.
Yeah, there you go.
Same thing.
But yeah, we played like 4-player like Royal Rumble stuff. Like shit blew me away.
Yeah, in a cage. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever said this on the any episode. I used to be absolutely obsessed with wrestling when I was like between 10 and 12. And
That's
it all
fascinating.
I was obsessed, man. Especially the NWO. I'm not sure if you remember the New World Order.
I didn't watch any of it.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm totally out there.
Okay, very, very briefly. So this is before WCW got bought out by WWF. And so WCW World Championship Wrestling, they called it the Monday Wars or something because WCW and WWF were on relatively at the same time when they were separate. And so they were fighting for viewership. And then the owner of WCW came. He watched like a Japan Pro Wrestling thing where like the gimmick was a group inside of the pro wrestling was like fake trying to take over. And so he's like, oh, I like that angle. So he created this thing called the NWO, this New World Order, which is like this rogue group led by Hulk Hogan that were kind of like this kind of gang, these badass guys that were they're trying to take over the WCW. That was their thing. And so
Awesome.
There was a splinter in between the NWO and between Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash, and they split off into the NWO Wolfpack. So there, if you've ever seen the logo, it's like NWO, the W's capital, and it just looks like shitty like typewriter font. And so they had like that was black and white, and then the Wolfpack was red and black. And I used to, like Post-its, I used to write that symbol and tape it on every single thing in my pencil case. All of my pens had it, my whiteout, everything. When my friends came into 8th grade, we used to greet each other in the morning with the Wolfpack signal, which means you kind of do like the devil sign, but then like you touch your friend's your friend's thumb and middle and ring fingers together, and then you twist it like you're locking, and then you pull back like an explosion. I used to do it every morning.
I don't know if that's adorable or really pathetic. Like it's one or the other. Like it's close.
These games, this is back when THQ made these games and they were good. Like I don't like wrestling anymore. I don't get what so many people in the video game industry watch wrestling. I just think it's like poorly written. It's scripted. It's like a soap opera. It's acted by people who can't
it's a show
act.
for kids, in my opinion.
I don't get it. But going back to video games, this is when THQ made awesome wrestling games. Like this game is considered, probably this and WrestleMania 2000 is considered like some of the best wrestling games ever made. Vin, I'm not going to go into this game that much. It's just a super awesome wrestling game. I played the shit out of it. It basically got me into wrestling, got me obsessed with the NWO. But you have to type in on YouTube WCW versus NWO Revenge intro. It is one of the coolest fucking intros to a video game you'll ever see. And briefly, it starts out with a trucker driving down like a lonely, like kind of rural highway in the States. And it's coming towards the camera, and it lasts for like 40 seconds. and then there's a lightning bolt, and Sting appears in the middle of the road, uh, uh, kind of shouldered by two burning like canisters, holding a bat, and then the truck driver goes, "What?" And then it cuts to this awesome like riff with Hulk Hogan, and it's just like it's never forget that intro exists. That's all I'm gonna say. It's amazing. Yeah, everyone, please, you gotta look up
watch the intro at least.
Yeah, watch the intro and also the Golden Axe screen. If you take anything away from this episode. But how about you? What is your N64 game? Wait,
my next one is N64. N64. My runner-up is Ocarina of Time. Has to be, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't play Mario 64 until years later. I loved it, but it wasn't as impactful to me because I didn't play that one first. But I did play the shit out of Ocarina of Time, so that was my runner-up. But it's too bad I've never actually played it because it's gone, it's disappeared. My main game, which I'm going to pick, is Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer.
How dare you judge me for fucking choosing WCW versus NWO Revenge, and then you go and pick fucking...
Yeah, but have you actually played this game?
I rented it. I did play it. I remember renting it,
it's a fucking awesome racing game. It's probably one of the best racing games. Like, everyone was playing Wipeout at the time, and I was just playing the shit out of this game. Like, I thought it was 10 times better. Like, it's one of the only like movie games that I've ever played where it actually felt like an addition to the movie. It wasn't, it wasn't trying to detract away from it. It wasn't like being typical sort of movie game thing. It was trying to do something different. It was actually fun. It actually did something unique while trying to do that. Yeah, I absolutely love this game. I was obsessed with it. And like the reason why I'm looking at it now is because there's so many other like Zelda games around which sort of beat Ocarina of Time, in my opinion. I don't think it's the best Zelda game.
I see what you're saying. It hasn't aged entirely.
Right, it really hasn't. Like, it's aged really, really badly. But I recently played Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer on the PC because it came out on Good Old Games. Like, they finally ported it and got it out.
What's going on?
Played it. Still just as fun. It's an amazing game. Like, it's actually really, really fun. So, yeah, everyone should go and check it out if they haven't played already. But yeah, that's actually my pick for the Nintendo 64. Wow. I know people are going to be throwing stuff at their screens, but just screw them. Like, they don't know.
So basically, between you and me, Vin, the only games that exist for the N64 are Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer and WCW versus NWO Revenge. That's the top two. There's nothing else exists on the system.
Right. It's just those two on a desert island playing them two games over and over again. That's great.
Yep, I could play that game forever. All right. Next system for me would be the PlayStation. This was a hard one for me.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's the big one.
Is it Metal Gear Solid? Is it a Final Fantasy game? I think I'm going to go with the game that I probably played the most off my PlayStation 1.
Yeah, that's a good way to go.
That's going to be Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Legend. I love you. This is awesome. Like, that was so close to being in my picks.
Really?
Like,
okay.
You have no idea.
Well, yeah. So I've
awesome
I've more than made up.
I actually played this
for my N64 pick.
I played this like 2 weeks ago and I finished it on my PlayStation 1 Classic. Fucking love it. It's an amazing game. It's still great. It still completely holds up. Totally playable. Really
some
fun.
People could argue 3, but I actually moved away from the series after 2, so 2 is the one that I played the most. And again, we're talking about 2s, like the game that did everything better the second time. Like, they took the criticisms, they had a lot of experience and know-how to and their previous work to work with and build on that to make the second iteration better. And yeah, it's just like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. It's like, what can you say? It's probably one of the best games ever made if you want to put it in like a top 20 list or something like that. And this was totally, I was a skater. Like, my friend and I, like, all we did was skateboard and play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And yeah, I absolutely love that game.
Awesome. Well, did you have a runner-up for the PlayStation 1?
Yeah, I was juggling. Like, I should probably put a Final Fantasy game on there, so I put Final Fantasy 9 is a runner-up. I'm trying to make up for my WCW versus NWO Revenge.
Yeah, it's too bad. Yeah, it's just too bad you've never played Final Fantasy 9.
No,
It's a shame. It's gone.
no. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Did you have a PlayStation 1 pick?
Yes, that was actually my next one. My PS1 pick. I've got my runner-up, which is Metal Gear Solid. It's got to be mentioned. It's still an amazing game. I finished this. This was the first game I loaded up when I got my PlayStation 1 Classic, and it still holds up. It's just pure fucking cheese, and it's hilarious, and it's great, and it's fun, and none of it really makes sense, but it really does make sense, and it's just entertainment, like in its purest form, and it's really really good, and it's yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone. But it's too bad I've never played it because it doesn't exist. It's gone. It's disappeared. My main pick was actually your runner-up, so Final Fantasy 9. So that was my my main one for the PlayStation 1. This game, I could play this game over and over again. I think it's the best looking game on the system. It's long as hell, so you could replay it 1,000 times, especially if you're stuck in a desert island playing it. So yeah, it goes without saying. This it's my second favorite game of all time. It's my favorite Final Fantasy. I can't not pick this. It's an amazing game.
3 words, Vin. Hot and cold. That's all you got to say.
Amen, brother. And Tetramaster.
Oh, Tetramaster. Yeah, that's one word, right? There's no space.
Tetramaster. Who cares? It's awesome. It's awesome card game.
All right,
and it's better than Triple Triad. Fight me.
Yep, I'm right there with you. All right. The next is kind of strange for me. It's a system that I never owned, but I'm going to cheat because I cannot pick this game for the PlayStation 2. Originally came out for the system I'll be talking about, the GameCube. Resident Evil 4, which I think is fair because it was originally supposed to be a GameCube only game. Wasn't
I would say that's a GameCube game.
Yeah,
I would say that's a GameCube game.
I played through most of this game at my friend's house. When I was at university, he had a GameCube, and I mean, we don't even have to get into this. It was like it changed the way that over-the-shoulder third-person shooters worked. It was like the first one to do it, and Gears of War built on that. But I couldn't believe how this game played. Like there was nothing like it.
It was one of the first games to use what we would call in art the rule of thirds. So if you split a screen into 3, like if you choose the second line on the right when you split them thirds up, like that's where they put Leon. That's where they put like his target, I think, and then they put Leon in the first third, so in the first line.
Right.
And if you do the rule of thirds overlay it, then it's perfect. And that was one of the first, I think it was the first game to do it. And it's perfect, and we still use it to this day for most games. Like if you're running along in a third-person shooter, as soon as you aim down sight, it snaps into rule of thirds. Like if you're playing Uncharted, it snaps into rule of thirds straight away. Like you don't even notice it, but it's all from Resident Evil 4. Like it all started that.
Yeah, I mean that must be one of my favorite openings of a game as well. Like going into leading up to the big fight in the Spanish village in the woods. It's just it's such a great game. I don't really even have to get into it that much. My runner-up was Beautiful Joe, which is a game I only played for about like maybe 40 minutes. I probably should have picked Wind Waker, but I played that on the Wii U. But anyways, Resident Evil 4.
I mean, Wind Waker gets a bit long in the tooth at times.
Yeah.
My next system is PS2. It's going to be no shock to anyone that my pick is Eco. Like, it's my favorite game of all time. It's got to be chosen. I've finished it like 20 times or something. I would happily play it another 20 times. I think it's a masterclass in sort of level design and the way puzzles work and just how you figure stuff out. I think for a game that came out in 2001, which was like a launch title on the PS2, like we literally went from the PlayStation 1 to having level design, which still holds up in 2019. I think it's just an amazing game, and including the art direction and how Ueda, the designer, sort of directs your eye around and how all the mechanics work and the whole aspect of like communication and stuff and like the way you hold Yoda's hand and stuff like that to like drag her around, and then she helps you and you have to help her and you're both helping each other. It's just an amazing game. I really, really hope that Blue Point remake it as well. There's rumors flying around everywhere that that's their next remake. If it is, I will lose my shit and start praying to some god, even though I'm an atheist, and thank them very, very kindly. I might have
to temper your expectations a little bit because I've heard that Blue Point said their next game is their biggest ever.
Right.
That does not sound like Eco to me, even though I wish it was Eco.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I would, if I had money to put down on it, I would say they're doing a Demon Souls
That's what
remake.
I've heard as well.
That's where I would put my money on. But my runner-up was actually, this will make you happy, is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. That was the one. That was the one that I played the most. So
yeah, 2 or 3. I mean, yeah, makes sense. Those games are great,
amazing games.
And then they like stumbled over the rest of the series, just kind of fell apart. Like,
yeah. I mean,
I guess it's time
was okay,
had passed.
But it fell apart. Especially like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, like the most recent one. Oof, that thing got panned.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's what it is.
All right, PlayStation 2 for me, no surprise. Shadow of the Colossus, 2005. Actually, I think RE4 and Shadow of the Colossus came out the same year, if I'm not mistaken.
They were pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, it's Shadow of the Colossus. Everyone knows about that game, knows it's my favorite game of all time, if they know me at all. And
right.
Yep, it's an amazing game. My runner-up, which is a game that it's not going to happen because it's Konami, but I want this game remade in like the new RE2 remake engine, Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, there you go.
One of my favorite games of all time. Even though Shadow of the Colossus is my favorite game of all time, I mean, that's a hard choice to completely erase it from
for sure
the history of anything. But yeah, Silent Hill 2 is like world class in terms of survival horror, like Pyramid Head. Just man, like what a creepy game. And the story is dark. Like that story goes places. Yeah, it gets really, really dark. And I just wish they'd make another Silent Hill game, but they're not going to, unfortunately.
No, it is a shame.
But all right, next system.
Next system, I have got PC, and for the PC, which covers all generations, I guess. But I'm gonna go a bit back in the past for this one. But my pick was actually a game, a point-and-click action adventure game, which was Broken Sword.
Didn't you played this recently? Didn't you?
Yeah,
weren't you? Yeah,
I replay this periodically, like every few years, and it still holds up. I play Broken Sword 1 and 2 all the time. You can get it on every single platform pretty much. You can get it on the Game Boy Advance. You can get it on Nintendo DS. You can get it on the iPad. You can get it on your phone. It's on the Wii. It's obviously on PC. It's on everything. Like if you haven't played Broken Sword, like it still holds up. It's all pre-rendered. It's all like cartoon drawn. Puzzles are amazing. Story's great. It's very much like an Indiana Jones meets sort of Nathan Drake sort of meets just point and click action adventure games. It's very much a game of its time. Awesome game. Like absolutely awesome game. And it's the game that got me into point and click games. The runner up which I had was Homeworld, which is a real-time strategy game, which is like a 360 real-time strategy game. It was one of the first games I played where it was normal RTS, but you could also go up and down. It's basically in space, but it's got an amazing story. And yeah, there's no characters really involved, but it tells this really compelling story about people just basically trying to find a home and trying to survive in space. And it's a really, really fascinating game. And there's a great remake that's out, and you should go and play it because I've never played it because it doesn't exist because it's my runner-up, unfortunately. It's a shame. How about you, man? What's your next one?
If just kind of a side note, if I was ever going to choose a PC game, since I didn't play any PC games really, have you ever heard of the game? It's a point and click game called Sanitarium.
Sanitarium, yes, I have heard of this.
It's old, but basically you're like this doctor in the beginning. You get into a car crash and you wake up in a sanitarium. You got like, I think you have amnesia, and you got like your head is kind of wrapped like Kojima did with like Metal Gear Solid 5. You could kind of look like that guy. Yeah. And you're just trying to figure out what happens. Yeah, that game. I remember. I think it must have been a Thanksgiving. I played it on my uncle's computer, and I beat the game that weekend because I loved it so much. But old PC games from the 90s, good stuff. Giant boxes, massive fucking boxes. Holy shit!
God, I missed that. Should bring that back.
Just the giant.
No, they shouldn't
box.
Actually. Fuck no! Don't bring that back.
That is a lot of
way
paper.
Too many boxes.
I mean, I guess the closest thing to that now is the Switch boxes, because you open that and this is this little fucking cartridge. I guess if the cases were any smaller, you'd just lose them. But my final system is the PlayStation 3, and the only game that exists for that system is The Last of Us. I think that's an easy pick.
That would have been my pick as well, I think. So the same. But I'm glad that I didn't bring up the PS3 now, because I would have said the same thing.
Yeah. So I'm actually trying to play that game on survivor mode right now. Man, nice. that's hard. Nice. Yep. Give you a little slow clap there for getting the platinum in that. I know that most of that frustration came from the multiplayer, but yeah, without knowing where enemies are, like fuck, you can die really, really quickly.
Yeah, it's a different experience.
It's very different
in survival mode, I guess.
But I'm also playing it. I've never played it on the PlayStation 4, but also kind of leading up to The Last of Us Part 2, I kind of want to relive some of those moments. For sure. In that game.
I think I'm gonna play it on Grounded next. I think before the next one comes out. I know. Wow. But if I did it on survival, then I think I get a good chance.
If you got got the platinum trophy, yeah, I think you'll be all right.
Yeah. Pro tip: like even if you got full ammo, doesn't matter. Like as long as you've got a brick, life is good. Like, okay. That's the only way to play. Like always have a brick. Fuck the bottles. Bottles don't do anything. Always have a brick.
Always have a brick.
You can take out a click over the brick. Like without any problems, so always have a brick.
Oh well, good to know since I've just started it. So all right, noted. Yeah, and then my runner-up would actually be Far Cry 3 got cut for Hotline Miami. I love Hotline Miami. It's a soundtrack to a game that I still listen to this day. I mean, it's not even that old. It's like 2013. But yeah, I love that game. I hope they make a Hotline Miami 3. 2 is slightly disappointing, but still fun. But yeah, The Last of Us is the final one on my list of 8 games for 8 consoles. And how about yourself?
Yeah, my final console was the Xbox 360 because this is the console I didn't really have a PS3 until like the end of the generation, I guess. Right. Most of the generation I played on the Xbox 360. The game which I picked from that, speaking of games that still have amazing soundtracks, Skyrim is on the Xbox 360, and that's where I played that. And I think most people played it on that. And incredible game. If not the game of that generation, I would argue probably of that console at least. I can still jump into that game and spend 200 hours and still I can load up that game today after playing like 400 hours of that game and still come across areas I've never seen or come across quests I've never seen. I mean, testament to that, Burkhoff never saw the the Hangover quest, which I was talking about recently on a previous episode. Never even heard of it, and then he had to go and find it. He was like, "Oh shit, I didn't know about this." And it's a huge quest, and it's hilarious and it's fun, and like that happens all the time. Like, and even now, like when I was playing the remaster not too long ago, like I was just coming across like random huts in the middle of a forest. Like, what the fuck is this? And then you go in, there's a piece of paper on the floor, and it's like, oh, start a quest. And it's like, okay, never done this before, let's do this. And then you just off for 3 hours. It's an amazing game. So
that is cool.
I think everyone's played it. But the runner-up was Fable 2 because
I remember watching my brother play that.
Yeah, Fable 1 was an amazing game, but Fable 2 really helped progress everything that the first one did. It's the Tony Hawk's 2 of Tony Hawk's 1 for Fable. Like Fable 2 is awesome. Like it's great. It's an awesome game. But yeah, that sort of concludes my picks. But yeah, awesome games.
All right. So to wrap it up, the NES, Metroid, Super NES, A Link to the Past, TurboGrafx 16, Bonk's Revenge, N64, none other than WCW vs. NWO Revenge. PlayStation 1.
I applaud you for the fast title reading.
Please watch that intro video. Please do it. PlayStation 1, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, GameCube, Resident Evil 4, PlayStation 2, Shadow of the Colossus, and PlayStation 3, The Last of Us. PlayStation 4, story is yet to be written, so we didn't include it in this list. How about you?
For me, I've got for SNES, I had Chrono Trigger. For the N64, I had Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer, even though people are throwing shit at their screens right now. For the Sega Mega Drive, I had Sonic 2. For the PC, I had Broken Sword. I'm losing my train of thought here. PS1, I had Final Fantasy 9. PS2, I had Eco. And then for the Xbox 360, I had Skyrim. That concludes everything.
All right, those are the only 16 games that exist, or at least 8 games in my world and 8 games in yours. So go out and play them.
Hey, man, they're good lists. Yeah. You know, if I was stuck on an island, they would occupy me for quite a while. But,
oh yeah. Funnily enough, I think after I played all 8 of those games, the game I'd probably go back to is WCW versus NWO Revenge, because you can just keep fucking playing it, like just match after match.
Yeah, I feel that way about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. I guess.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I could have gone with that, but I don't have that on my list, unfortunately. But,
no, you don't.
The Skyrim. There's always Skyrim.
Oh, actually, yeah. I mean, yeah, that game's like, I'm sure there's people putting 1,000 hours into that game.
Oh, it's endless, man. And if you change weapon, then it's a whole new game all over again. You know, like it's nuts. It's completely nuts. But yeah, great games.
All right.
Cool. So that sort of concludes our Desert Island picks. Let us know what you would pick, I guess, like in the comments. You probably will find this episode all over the place because we've actually finally got around to expanding our podcast services. So we're going to be around on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, a few other places. We're going to start populating as well. If there is a platform that we've missed and you want to sort of let us know where you listen to podcasts. If we haven't got it covered already, then just let us know. You can find us at Twitter at CoffeeBeerCast. You can let us know there, or you can comment wherever you find us. Other than that, probably YouTube, because that's mainly where we post our videos. But yeah, Evan, where can people find you, man?
You can find me at the Stand User on Twitter. It's probably the only thing that I should shout out. The Stand User on Twitter. How about yourself?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Hillfort Games. You can find me and some of my finger paintings on there. I do a bit of concept art and I also work on some indie games, but I need to get back to some of my projects because I've been leaving them alone for a little while. But yeah, I post other stuff on there as well. So if you want to give me a follow, then you can come over there and find me.
Yeah, you're doing Blocktober, right? I think you posted you just finished a Last of Us Part 2 kind of fan piece.
Yeah, I did. Basically, yeah, whenever we do concept art, we do 3D block-ins sometimes, but level designers do it as well, where it's just like grey boxes, and then we paint over the top of that, so we can sort of figure out what a scene's going to be before we start painting it, because it's not like the old school days where we're designing levels in 2D, like you design levels in 3D, and then we paint art over the top of them, and then 3D artists can come in and sort of make all the stuff over the top of it. But I won't go into any of that. But if you are interested in any sort of games development stuff, then go and check out my Twitter, and you'll see some of that happening. But yeah, from us too, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time. So, ta-ta.
See ya.